So this is going to be doing, this is showing how to do a standard feudal rush on migration. This build is actually better for team games when you're on the flank. It's not so good for 1v1s really, but I'll show one which is better for 1v1s maybe a bit later. Uh, but yeah, I'll just take in Byzantines as a normal civ. Migration is a bit of a different start. You have less sheep, or you have less resources in general because you don't have any boar, right? So it makes it clicking up a little bit harder than other maps. I'll just go through at this speed, I think, at least until it gets the interesting bit. So also finding your sheep's a bit more difficult, so you have to scout around a bit. Sometimes they spawn in really awkward positions to find, so yeah. But yeah, you basically just do 6 to sheep, and then you go 5 to wood. Very normal starting out. Pretty much just copy the normal water build order for other maps, which we'll look into a bit later as well in this stream. You can see I play this on Explorer to make things easy for myself. Just when my scouts is randomly patrolling there. You want to push your deer in a bit later, that's why it's doing that. So yeah, I start pushing deer in now. This is probably about the time you finish scouting your map, because usually it's a good idea to scout around your map just to know where things are and all that sort of stuff. So then we've got 5 to wood. The next villager we're going to send out to build a house. Oh, I'm going this way, okay. And then we're going to build a dock with that villager afterwards. And then we're starting to gather the deer with these villagers. So we're still at the 5 on here. I decided to do this with recorded games because it's a bit more difficult to talk while doing stuff at the same time. This just makes it a bit easier. And you can see I've sent a second villager out here. And this is because there's so limited food on this map that we actually want a villager gathering on the shorefish as well. And we're sending a third villager out here as well. I will say this isn't really an exact build order for this map as such. It's more like you just work out how much food you need to get. So following this build will work, but there's like a few different ways you can do it. So we're going to have 3 villagers gathering this shorefish, and then we're going to start fishing ship production. I decided to build a house with the villager on wood. I think think my dock might have been slightly later than otherwise is, so that's why I did that. Just because I don't need the extra wood. Otherwise I might potentially do it with another villager. And then I've got to send another guy out there to shorefish as well. And you want to gather the deep fish with your dock. And that's the last deer in there. So yeah, I'll send a 5th villager out here to the shorefish as well. It's ideal if you can get 2 which aren't too far away from dock, like I've got here. But yeah. Given that usually you'll do this with Italians, so you don't need to send so many villagers out here. But I decided to use like a standard civ, so that's the reason that I'm sending so many villagers out here. You can see food count not looking too bad, and we've got a lot of villagers on food. So even though we don't have any boar we don't have any boar rather, we kind of get a pretty good feudal time. Just building the next house. You can see these shorefish last a wee while. So you're creating fishing ships, and 1 more villager, then loom. So we're going to have 21 villagers with loom. So on Arabia that would be 22 population, because you have your scout as well. So we've got essentially 22 population, and we've got the 3 fishing ships as well. So we're just getting the last of our food in. I mean, you can potentially get away with 1 or 2 less villagers over here. As you can see, we've got a little bit of food left over. But usually on this map, it pays to be safe, because you don't want to get to the situation where you're on 450 food and you can't click up. But anyway, you see we've clicked up, and you want to switch all your villagers over to wood. This is the same as normal maps. And we're taking all these villages off the shorefish, and we're building a lumber camp. You tend to want to do about pretty even split on your lumber lines. And of course we're going to need a gold mine as well. So yeah, these villagers are going to go to the gold mine in a second. There we go. So I want 4 villagers on gold, 5 villagers on gold. 4 to 5 is about the right amount, and then if you added 4 you want to add a few more there once you're on feudal. And then yeah, start adding your extra docks once we've got these buildings down. Speed along a bit now. So we've got what, 8 on this lumber camp, 7 on this one, a few villages on this gold. And then we're creating fire galleys to start with. You'll want to switch to galleys a bit later. Fire galleys are very much like men-at-arms on a land map. They are really strong in early feudal, but later feudal, they are definitely not so good. And we're getting a third dock. And that's even with Byzantines, which has the bonus for their ships. So we'll send 1 or 2 more villages to wood or gold, and then we start getting the berries in once we have the resources for the mill. 16 on wood's about a good amount. 5 on gold is basically the minimum you want. We'll add a few more there later. I'm just getting a few more villages on the mill for the time being. You can see we continue to create ships. We're creating galleys now, starting to. So you probably want to think about getting blacksmith up pretty shortly as well, once you start getting galleys out. And I'll basically show up until castle age, because you can see we get a pretty decent castle time behind this as well. They got our 4 fishing ships still working. See, constantly reducing stuff. Yeah, and there's the blacksmith there. And doing fletching. This is assuming that we're like quite close to the opponent. So you want to get your upgrades, assuming you're fighting your opponent. Of course, this is just against an AI, so I'm not actually fighting them, but ideally you'd be using this army. And then get a bunch of villages on there, and I'm starting to add a few more villages to gold. 1 or 2 farms just to make sure that your berries don't get too cluttered. You usually have a little bit of wood to spare at this stage. And then we want to get our market up fairly shortly to click up to the next stage. You can see I've still got a villager working here in the shorefish. If you've got shorefish quite close, it's always a good idea to have a few villages there. I could even maybe have one here as well, although there's only 88 food there at the moment. Let's see, messing up our army there, and started to build the market. We'll click up fairly shortly. It's arguably might be a good idea to even sell your stone on this map, although I don't think I do it on this particular build, but that is an option. So you can see we've got 16 on food and pretty close on the food count. So can I click up to castle age? You can see we've got 19 on wood, 16 on food, all of these are on berries, and those are, you've got some fishing ships as well, and then got 9 on gold at the moment. And we're almost got there, so we're going to click up now. We've got 18 galleys and 4 fire galleys. I probably want to replace these lumber camps fairly shortly. I believe I probably will do that at some point. And also, not a bad idea to create a transport ship. You probably want to get some villages on the mainland, even just to build a town centre or something. I would recommend on this map though, for 1v1s, don't build too many town centres. I think 2TC is probably the most you want to go up to on, because it tends to be quite an aggressive map. You can see water is quite important because a lot of this land can be covered by water on the 1v1 version of this map. I haven't replaced these lumber camps yet, which is a bit of a fail, but oh well. And of course we're continuing to create galleys, got quite a few here. You can see we got let's see, 21:15 castle time. We have to do a town centre here just to secure a bit of resources on the mainland. And clicking war galley in a second as well. And Vulcanero. Yeah, I'm fixing that lumber camp a bit now. You kind of have to do that on this map because your lumber lines won't last particularly long when you've got so many villages on them. Nice, and I think that's pretty much where I'm going to leave it at the moment.